Hi, I'm Gary Rabine. This is the place where my wife and I started our marriage. We dated for a few years, and 22 years old, and she was 21 years old, we were married, and this was our first home. My wife Cheryl and I started with nothing, and we were blessed to live the Illinois American dream. 4 kids, 3 grandkids, and a bunch of successful blue-collar small businesses. I was blessed to be married for 35 years to Cheryl. She inspired me every day. I learned true faith and strength from her. Cheryl made me realize how short life is and how little time God gives us really to make a difference. Cheryl's passion was to love and serve others and to inspire others to love God. After 2 life-saving brain surgeries over a 3-day period, Cheryl woke. She read hundreds of text messages and Caring Bridge messages, and she was overwhelmed with joy as she realized how many people were praying for her, many who said they seldom or have never prayed before. I'll never forget what Cheryl said to me on that June day, 2016. She said, "This is why I've got this. People we love are praying and getting closer to God every day." She fought this battle courageously for over 4 years, and she never once complained and never once said, "Why me?" My family lost our angel October 2020, but I promise this: Cheryl's courageous, servant heart will never stop beating as long as I live. With your vote, this courageous servant heart that Cheryl gave me will be beating to fight for you in this great state of Illinois. My father bought this place with some acreage and some room to store dirt and wood and all the things that he did. So he sold firewood, he cut trees, and he hauled sand and gravel, and he did some landscaping. And we were able to store things and store equipment in this barn. It was a big day when we paved some asphalt right where I'm standing. And back then, when we paved this, we didn't know how to pave, okay? We weren't a paving company yet. My dad did the landscaping and hauled material. And so when we paved this, it was all by hand. And we were pretty excited because we actually had something smooth, fairly smooth, to work off of. And this is a great barn. We had shelter before this barn. My dad would work on stuff outside. He'd be yelling at me to get this wrench or that wrench. It could be raining, snowing, whatever. And to have this roof over our heads to work on stuff was a big deal. I'll never forget the original equipment that we bought at auctions or from old paving companies. We bought the most antiquated equipment you can imagine for paving. I remember a 1-ton roller that we had to spray water on while it was rolling so the asphalt wouldn't stick to it, right? Asphalt paving rollers have spray systems on them. So this was like a landscaping roller that we use. I'll never forget the rusty old box, they call it a Leighton box, but it's basically a drag box you drag behind a truck and you dump asphalt and you spread asphalt, right? The equipment was antiquated back then in the late 70s and early 80s. And that's what we started with. People laughed at us. I started with nothing over 40 years ago. And I built a bunch of successful blue-collar small businesses here in Illinois. And now, I want to fight for your freedom here in Illinois. And I want to fight to reform and rebuild this great state as your governor. In Illinois, we've forgotten how to compete. We're the biggest losers when it comes to violent crimes, highest taxes, highest unfunded pension liabilities. And the defining result of all of this is a loss of freedom. And with that, the most jobs and the most families leaving our state than any other state in the country. I'm a super competitive person. I hate to lose. When I'm your governor, we will win again. I will fight for our state to be #1 in public safety, to be #1 in tax fighting, to be #1 in job creation. And when you hire me to be your governor, we will, for the first time, be #1 at moving people back into our state. I'm running for governor because it's going to take more than a career politician to save our state. It's going to take a fighter. It's going to take an outsider. And it's going to take a common sense leader, most importantly, that can't be bought. Throughout my life, I've always visualized accomplishing what everyone else told me was impossible. These I've called moonshots. Many businesses and nonprofits I've founded have become world-class because of our moonshot vision and the execution that it took to get there. Today, we have 13 companies, and we pave concrete and asphalt parking lots across America. 4 of our companies exceeded their moonshots. These companies today are world-class companies. As your governor, I will fight to lower property taxes from the highest in the country down to being competitive again. And by lowering these taxes, we will send your property values soaring. As your governor, we're going to take the cuffs off the police and put them back on the criminals where they belong. I'll lead the effort to repeal House Bill 3653 and end Pritzker's attack on law enforcement. As your governor, I will end Illinois' sanctuary state law, and I'll stand up to Joe Biden's lawless open borders policies, just like I stood up against his lawless vaccine mandate. As your governor, I will fight to ban critical race theory in our schools, and I'll sign a Parents' Bill of Rights. I will stop indoctrination of our children and the far-left agenda, and I'll defend women's rights, and we will stop men from competing in women's sports. On day one, we will end all vaccine and mask mandates, and we're going to offer all government workers who were fired for the vaccine mandate a signing bonus to come back. We will make employer-demanded vaccinations illegal from here on. And finally, as governor, I will clean up the sewer of corruption in Springfield. We'll end patronage. We will ban the lobbyist revolving door, and we'll stop corrupt politicians like Madigan from using campaign contributions to pay their legal bills. When we do that, we will be the greatest state in the middle of the greatest country in the history of the world once again. It's Rabine time.